Hallo ihr Lieben und herzlich willkommen zur ersten Folge der neuen Staffel des Musical-Podcasts Musical&mehr. Mein erster Gast ist für mich unfassbar schwer in Worte zu fassen, weil sie mich vom allerersten Augenblick des Kennenlernens an verzaubert hat. Als ich Vajèn von den Bosch bei der ersten Probe von Wicked, Elphaba, singen hörte, dachte ich mir, what is happening? Und als ich dann zum ersten Mal mit ihr als Glinda auf der Bühne stand, dachte ich, okay, what is happening? Diese Frau hat meine Art, Musical zu machen und meine Art, mit Kollegen auf der Bühne zu stehen, revolutioniert. Und deshalb, weil sie etwas ganz Besonderes ist das folgende Interview ausnahmsweise auf Englisch, weil ich euch ein Gespräch mit dieser wunderbaren Darstellerin und diesem wunderbaren Mensch nicht vorenthalten möchte. Aber keine Sorge, auch für diejenigen von euch, die sich wieder eine muttersprachliche Episode wünschen, habe ich etwas Zauberhaftes vorbereitet. Denn in nur 48 Stunden wird auch das Interview mit dem Zauberer himself, Andreas Lichtenberger, online gehen. Und jetzt entspannt euch und lasst euch verzaubern. So here we go.
Love it.
The first Musical&more podcast in English.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here with my lovely colleague Vajèn.
Hello, hello, hello.
So my first question to you is, where did we meet?
Where did we meet? In Wicked. Yeah, Wicked, our beautiful show Wicked. Yeah, and I remember, I think I saw you for the first time wearing a mask.
Okay.
Right? Outside.
That could be. I remember seeing you the first time in a computer. Because we had the working out thing.
Oh yeah!
Via
Yeah,
Zoom.
you were right! Yeah, I saw
Via
you there
Zoom.
as well. And you left on your camera. You were like, yeah, you left on your camera. You were like, I'm doing this. And I was like, I'm gonna shut down because I don't want these people who I did not see live see me like struggling with the workout.
With the
That's
workout.
true, you're right.
That's
I saw you there.
And I had the
Yeah.
same problem that Steven Swartz had later with you, because I saw you on the screen and amongst, I don't know, like there was a split screen, there were so many people.
Yeah.
And I saw her and I was like, oh, she's probably Glinda. And then I saw Janine and I was like, but wait, what?
Who's Glinda?
Who's Glinda now? What? And then I was like, oh, she is really pretty.
Oh, babe. Oh, that's sweet.
And then we all worked out and then we all looked like a mess and it
Babe,
was fine.
yeah. And you were so brave. You left on your camera. I was like, wow, that's cool. I do not dare. True. Yeah. Yeah. The first time was there.
And then the next time, everybody...
We met outside here with masks on, and then we had the first day of rehearsal, I guess.
Yeah, with the PCR test. That's
yeah,
how we
had to do a
started.
test before, yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting in the room, and then I remember that everybody could say their name, and then you could take off the mask
For just a second.
for a second to say like, this is me, blah, 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 I'm gonna play this and this.
Yeah.
That was so weird.
But
to give, to say hello to a person with not seeing a face.
And I think it was like way into the rehearsal period when we finally really took off the masks.
Yeah,
And
weeks
saw
after.
each other. We sang with the masks. We danced with. There was like meeting the whole cast all over again. For,
Yeah,
like
true. We did the
really
sing
crazy.
through with masks. The sing
Yes!
through, remember? We were sitting in all
Yes.
the chairs and we all had like these masks on. It was the weirdest thing. If you think back,
But yeah,
I'm like, it's so weird that we
you
did
really
like
did
this.
that. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But how did it all start for you? Like, do you still remember the first time you came in contact with music at all?
Yeah, I grew up in a very small village, so
Okay.
with my mom, dad, and my little sister, and I remember that I always loved to look at musicals, to be in a theater, and I was lucky that my parents took me and my sister to shows.
Okay.
Just because we liked it and they liked it, and it was
Yeah.
like an extra thing in your like while growing up, you know, you can look at a movie or whatever, or go to like a cinema, but theater, like a live thing, was something extra, and I'm very lucky that they did that from a young age already.
Do you remember how old you were the first time you saw something?
Yeah, I remember that I was looking at Peter Pan, the musical, when I was 3 years old.
3 years old?
And it's not, people be like, oh, what do you remember when you were 3 years old? No, I do not remember that I was sitting there, but what I remember is all the songs of that show. I still have them in my head. I can still sing all the lyrics. So it got me like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
And I always wanted to sing, and I sang with my sister at home. And I thought that theater was so magical. And I remember that I wanted to go to the Lion King for my birthday when I got 4 years old. And I went there with my mom. And from that show, I really remember a scene. I have like this picture in my head of like a scene of this show, of like Scar.
Yeah.
And it was such a magical thing to me. But I never really thought like, oh, this is what I want to do. I was not sitting in the audience thinking this is what I want to do when I grow up. I was just amazed by the vibe and the actors and the singers, and then I got older, and I went to like this acting class with young kids every week, and like a singing class and blah blah blah, but just for fun. As a hobby. And then I was 8, and I heard that they were auditioned for the Sound of Music, the musical. And I so wanted to do that audition, and my mom was like, I don't think we should do that. I have no clue what that is.
What are your parents working? Like, are they from a musical family?
No, not at all. Not at all. No,
Okay.
no. My parents are not from like, they like to go to shows, and they love certain styles of music, but that's it. It's not. And so my mom was a bit afraid, like
I can imagine.
don't want my daughter. What can you expect as a mom?
Yeah, you have no idea, of course.
And whenever you put your child into like a situation when she maybe has the chance to get disappointed, you of course want to not protect her. Yeah, exactly. But after many times asking, I was allowed to do that audition, and that was, I remember I was like, wow. I was standing I was looking at all these people around me, these kids around me who had done like already shows or already auditions, and I was like, oh my god, what is this? And then after these auditions, I got to play Marta, one of the youngest kids of the family, and it was so nice. And I was so happy. To me,
where was that? Like, where did you play?
It was we have like this theme park in Holland, the Efteling, and they have like a theater on the side.
Ah, okay.
And they do really amazing shows there, and also the Sound of Music was there. I mean, that was a dream come true, to go once a week to the theater and just be with other kids who liked the same thing. You know what I mean? And just sing and blah blah blah. I wish I was like that. Right now, when you get older, you're so aware of everything. You're aware of who you are, what you do. But as a child, you have no clue. It's just like, woohoo! It's a party. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that was really an amazing thing. And so, and that's how it started, more or less. Yeah.
Oh, that is beautiful. So you were 8. That means do you have the same kind of schooling in Holland that you have in Germany?
Well, we have like the primary school. That's, I think maybe it's the same thing. Until like group 1 until group 8, and then you're about like whatever. What's the
11?
I think 11, 12.
Yeah.
And then you get into like a secondary school, and you choose like which one you go to, and then you do like, depends, 4, 5, 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, of the secondary school.
But you were still in primary school when you started.
Yes, I was in primary school. Yeah.
And you were only playing once a week. Is that like kind of child protection?
Exactly.
In Holland?
Yeah. You had like a certain amount of times that you were allowed to play, like in a year or whatever. So it was like once a week, sometimes once every 2 weeks. So it was not that much. Yeah, and then I was like doing that show, and then there was an audition for Joseph and
Yeah.
the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Then I did an audition for that. Then I got that, and like more shows I did, like Mary Poppins and stuff. And in Mary Poppins, I got to the secondary school.
Okay.
And in secondary school, there was a. Well, I have to say, I had an amazing time at school. And my secondary school, my high school was amazing because they really allowed me to go and do what I still love. So the shows or the whatever. And during that time, I got to do shows, and sometimes I had to leave earlier or whatever to travel, like to the theater. And
Was that far away?
well, the theater in Scheveningen, where Mary Poppins was quite far because I come from Brabant, which is a bit more in the south.
Okay.
So it was like, Holland is the smallest country ever. So nothing is
I
far.
come from Austria. So I know what you're talking about.
So I mean, like if you here in Germany, I'm like, yeah, then like 2 hours is nothing, or 1.5, but there it's far.
Yeah.
And yeah, my school really allowed me to do that, and really supported me in that.
Cool.
Yeah, that was really, really amazing. And we had more kids in my high school who were doing different kind of stuff, like doing sports at a very high level or whatever.
wow.
So we had more of these kids, and we got all supported.
Wow.
Really, really nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is so
because
valuable.
otherwise
It's
you
such
cannot do it.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have to say, yeah, sorry, I cannot leave earlier, or sometimes with the rehearsal that you can be like, oh, I cannot go to school that day, whatever. And of course you have to make really like strict, you have to talk about it, and you have to think like, okay, you cannot do whatever you want, of course, but yeah, they were really, really supportive.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then Mary Poppins, and then I got...
Which is already like, if you play the children in Mary Poppins, that's quite a
the thing,
big part.
Oh, yeah, it
Like
was.
from being, I imagine you were in a choir in the choir of
Yeah,
Joseph.
exactly.
They're
Yeah,
not-
of like 10 kids or 10 kids. Yeah, that was really like a thing. Yeah.
That's quite a lot of stage time that
That's-
the small ones have.
Yeah, and then you get and I remember that the rehearsals were also so different, of course, because you really need to to learn a lot of scenes and a lot of dancing parts in it and whatever. So it was actually different than, of course, Joseph or The Sound of Music.
And how did you stay in training during that time? Did you train every day and play once a week, or how did that look like?
Well, we had, I was in the second cast, so the show was already running for, I guess, a few months, and then they casted new kids, of course. So they casted 6 new pairs, so 6 new Janes, 6 new Michaels. And we had a long weeks of rehearsal, and then we got into the show, and then playing once a week, but also once a week we had to go to the theater and be on standby.
Ah, okay.
So when another Jane and Michael were doing the show, there was always there had to be another pair,
Of course.
to be there for a standby show. Yeah, so I was there twice a week.
Okay.
Yeah. As a kid, that's the most amazing thing that you can. And on standby I loved, because you're in the theater, you're surrounded by the people you look up to, people from the cast. But to me, the funny thing, what I remember, I never talked about the theater things I did at school, not in primary school and not in secondary school.
Okay.
So the different worlds, it was like the theater world, that was so magical to me, that was such a beautiful place to be. I still remember the smell of that theater, for example. And when I went to school the next day, and I was sitting there, and I was like thinking, I like it that I have these separate worlds, and I didn't want to be different than the other kids at school. So so I just didn't really talk about it until people maybe would ask or whatever. So many kids didn't even know
that you were doing that.
No.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I think back, I'm like, it was a choice, I guess, as a kid to actually to think like, okay, I'm not gonna talk about it, or I'm not. It's not that I wanted to hide it, but it was also not something that I wanted to talk about constantly.
Yeah. And
being afraid that other kids would be like, And right now, when this is my job, I'm proud of it, you know, and I want to talk about it and everything. But I really love it that when I'm with my friends of my high school, they do something completely different. We still have this little group, 6 of us, and then we never really talk about what we do, and it's so nice. And we know each other for such a long time. We already knew each other before we, you know,
decided what to do with your life.
Yeah.
That is so precious.
Yeah.
That is really, really precious. Yeah. Because obviously, I mean, you meet so many amazing people in this job. I think that's really one of the highlights that you have with constantly new companies, new people. But it's also kind of a sad and happy thing because they come and go and come and go and come and go. But if you have like a group of people who just stick with you for so long, that is priceless. It's really nice.
Exactly. Yeah, and exactly like you say, you always have to say goodbye. You know what I mean? You're meeting, like you say, we see each other every day for 1.5 years right now, and that will end. And that's such a weird thing because you share your life with the people you're working with in a way. And definitely, I mean, for example, Germany is such a big country, so you always have to, like, most of the times you have to move, of course, to different cities to go and work there. That's not the case in Holland because it's a lot smaller. But then it's even more weird, you know what I mean? It's like you start a life in a city with the people you're working with and the people you meet, and then that ends all of a sudden. Yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things in this job. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel so too.
Yeah.
Yep. You were going from Mary Poppins to where?
I went from Mary Poppins to a Dutch production, Droomvlucht. It's like dream flight. Okay, I have to really... I'm trying in my best English to tell the people what this is. We have like, okay, this theme park that I told you about, the Efteling, where also the Sound of Music was. They have this attraction in this theme park, which is called Droomvlucht, Dream Flight. It's one of the most beautiful attractions in the park, in my opinion. It's a world about elves and trolls, and it's just a world full of fantasy and unicorns and blah blah blah. It's very magical in a very, very beautiful way. And they created a show of that attraction, of course, with like an whole story and blah blah blah, but it was called Droomvlucht. And there was this part of the girl named Lila, and she was going to high school, and she got bullied because she always painted elves and the trolls, and she did that together with her grandma in the weekends.
Okay.
And she got bullied because of that, and they said, like, grow up and don't be such a child. Okay. And her parents didn't have so much time for her because they were too busy working. And all of a sudden, Lila comes in this fantasy world, her fantasy world that she created, like, in her drawings. And then she is, like, going through different adventures, and she's experiencing a lot. It was such a beautiful show. Yeah, so I was doing that, and that was a really nice part. I think
that was in the theme park?
Yeah,
or is it just based on that?
But in the theater.
Okay.
So in the same theater, but it is like part of the theme park. Yeah, that was a really, really beautiful show. And then I was also a bit more aware because of my age, I guess, of what I was doing. So I got much more... I was nervous, and I was like, oh God, this is actually a big thing, and I have to sing these songs. And then I got more aware of what I was doing on that stage. Yeah.
How old were you?
At the time I was 13, 14.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense then.
Yeah, it's like this age when you all of a sudden like, oh my God, I'm insecure about everything I am.
Of course. I mean, even if you're not on stage, it's like, who am I?
How
do I relate to the world?
Exactly.
It's like, ooh.
Yeah, we still have that. It never fades. But when it starts, you know what I mean? I still have that, but then it starts.
Yeah.
that weird feeling of, oh my God, this is me, and how do I want to come across? And
what would you tell your 13-year-old self
that's a good
today
question.
with all your experience now?
That's a good question. I would say to her, don't be afraid to do something wrong, because there's not really a wrong in many cases. I think that's the thing that holds people back the most is fear. It's like it's in certain ways that you think like, oh, am I good enough? Am I doing this right? It's the fear, and I would say to myself, don't be scared. It's fine. You will make it. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good tip. I mean, I'm sure you have to make your experiences before you can like. Do you think it's possible not to develop this kind of fear, or is it maybe even necessary to protect you? Or to be
maybe in a way. I think it's fear is also so negative. You know what I mean? It sounds so negative.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm afraid. I have fear inside of me. But I think if you have a little bit, I don't think that the fact that you get nervous every show is wrong or is negative. I think having some nerves inside of your body is actually fine.
Gives you a certain tension.
Yes, and some kind of
attention.
adrenaline. Yeah, exactly. So that's fine. But when it gets to like, oh, I get afraid, then it gets.
If it freezes you down.
Exactly.
I mean.
Yeah.
So we're gonna tell every 13-year-old listening right now, do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Yeah, exactly. And it will be fine.
Yeah.
It will be fine. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I read that somewhere. It says like everybody has their audience, and even if you feel like you're doing something too much, too little, or wrong in any way, there might be someone sitting in the audience who goes like, "Ha, I like that."
Yeah.
So and
true.
Yeah. Maybe
and
that's
you cannot
a comfort.
please everyone.
No.
Don't try. That's also good. Don't try. There will always be people who love you, and there will always be people who do not like it so much what you do.
But you have been confronted with that from quite an early age on then.
Yeah, and maybe I did not really. Well, I think I got aware of what I was doing in a very young age. Yeah, and
but did you have a team around you to really help you also with this kind of attention? Because that's a lot for a teenager.
Yeah, we had also in that time a lot of like PR stuff, because it was
nice.
a new show. So also, I remember doing an interview for the first time and being so nervous, you know, to be like, I have to answer questions. Yeah, and it's when I look back, I'm like, it's just answering questions about why do you like it and what's the part you're playing. But I think it's everything that's new, and definitely when you're younger, it's like
first a little mountain.
Exactly, first little mountain.
But that is really cool that you had someone by your side.
I think that's also a thing. Social media is it can help us, and because you can show the world what you do or who you are. But I'm very happy when I was in that age, like around 13, 14, there was not that much social media. I'm very happy about that.
Okay.
I think if I would have grown up like in this time, you know, with the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter and whatever around you, that's actually hard.
I think that's
tough.
Terrifying. Like I'm constantly talking to a friend of mine who has children growing up, like how it is a whole new topic that you have to address and to handle. Yeah. Do you have any, like, how do you do it? How do you have a certain limitation for yourself, or do you have, like a professor of mine told me, if you get a review, print it out, put it in a book, put that book into a cupboard, and then read it a year later. Something that was her advice.
Wow.
Which is a little, but I mean.
Yeah, but I understand. I understand that she says that. Yeah, I think it's probably the best thing to not read it at all, in a way. But that's not what you do. You can't, at least it's not what I do. I mean, if you did something or you did a performance or you played your opening night, of course you want to read
What's the resonance?
Exactly. Of course you do. And the most stupid thing is whenever there are written like 10 things and one is negative, the one negative thing stays in your head and the other 9 doesn't matter.
Why is that?
It's so weird. It's so
really
weird. Yeah.
But it's the same for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. I know people, I have some friends around me who can really read it and be fine with it.
Okay.
And just think, I just let it go. Maybe that's part of the character of who you are, that you're really good at doing that, or maybe it's a thing that everybody should learn. I don't know.
How did you learn it? Like, what's your take on it?
I always talk to when I read something and I think like, oh, this is hurting me, or oh, this is I'm sad, or it's ruining this part of my day. Then I just to talk to my friends or talk to my family, to my sister, to my mom, just to let it all out. And also to give them a chance to say to me, it's fine. Tomorrow is a different day, and in 1 week you maybe do not even think about it anymore. And that really, really helps. I think if it's in your head and you do not let it out, you don't talk about it, it stays in your head.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's the best. Well, that really helps me to always talk about it. Let it out. Just be honest about what you feel.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds very healthy.
Yeah, I hope so. It works. It works.
Yeah.
Until now it works. Yeah. Then the Voice Kids came to Holland. Yeah. There was the first season. We already had like the Voice of Holland.
Yeah.
And then they created this version with kids. I remember that you had like this all these pop songs, and you could like, of course you had to sing like a song that you like. And I was like, oh my god, I only know musical theater. And I was also not a girl who listened to pop songs, so I really had to like get into it and learn and just look around what is there. And that was really and I remember I was terrified being on that stage singing like this pop song with a mic in my hand. I was used to play a role and being in a costume and have this little mic like, on the face. And right now, you stood there as yourself having a mic in your head and singing the song. I was terrified. Yeah, terrified. Yeah, but that...
Why did you do it then, in the first place? Why did you want to do it?
Yeah, why did I want to do it? Yeah, I think because it was something new. And then I got into it and I was like, oh, this is actually a big thing. Oh my god, and seeing the studio from the inside. And because it was the first season, it really exploded, the whole thing about the Voice Kids, because it was the first thing, the first season that they made there. Yeah, that was really a crazy time. And then you had to battle. What did
you end up singing anyway? Like, what was
my blind audition song was "The Climb" from Miley Cyrus.
Oh, okay.
And then I had to do the battles with 2 lovely girls from my team, which is a very weird thing to battle with.
To sing against someone?
You know, because I always think like singing is never a game. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's only love and sharing and sharing, you know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you stood there with 3 girls, and who's gonna win? You know, it's weird. It's very weird. And then I got through that, and then you had like this sing off.
Which is what exactly?
Which is all the people who got through the battles. I think it were 5 in the end. They had to sing their blind audition song again. And when you got through that, then you were in the finals. Okay. And the finals were live.
Okay.
Yeah. There was one show and it was live TV and crazy. Crazy. I think if I would do it now, I would like be would not go on stage. Takes me some time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but an amazing experience as well. I learned so much there.
And I don't know, did you win it?
Nee. We were the there were three kids in the end, and then the girl, another girl, won.
Okay.
And then me and a boy, we were the second. We don't know who became second and third.
Okay.
Which is great. I love that. I was like, I want to know. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I remember that my mom, dad, and my sister were backstage, and looking at the screen while when I was doing the blind audition, and then I had my grandma, so sweet, in the audience together with my aunt and some friends.
Like family support team.
I looked at it again a few weeks ago. I was like, oh my god. It's so crazy, and also to see how I stand there and I look fine from the inside. I was like, help me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's cool because it's the fear, but it's also like I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try to be stronger than the fear. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Which is a great thing to learn in your life at one point or another.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. It was cool. I remember when I had to sing the sing off, that I was like in a way fighting.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I have to sing this song well. I have to. And then it's really like it's really amazing when you did it then, and it feels like you won. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, you definitely won against your fear, so that is a huge win.
Then I went to do another Dutch production, also in the Efteling. Efteling was my home base.
It sounds like it.
And then after that, I did audition for The Sound of Music again, and that was my first job as a grown-up. So doing it every day instead of doing it. And I was 16 at the time.
16, so you were still at school.
Yes. And there we go.
How did that work?
And there we go again. I got very lucky with my school. I was working all the time, and I had to do my homework and everything in the tour bus.
Jesus, so it wasn't stationary. It was like, it was a Sound of Music tour.
Yeah.
Which means, where did you go?
Which means, through the whole country, which is again, of course, not that big, but it's many hours in the bus, going from city to city. Yeah, and I had this one teacher of mine, Tom Brom. He was my English teacher, and he was the one who came to my place where I lived with my family to bring me some tests that I had to do for different subjects at school that I could, and then I was doing on the Sunday. I was doing all my tests.
Wow.
And then I was there. That time I was not really at school. Yeah. I had some days of school, but I was more working or going to school and then going to work.
But you were disciplined enough to not let school slide.
Yes.
Wow.
And the thing was, I had these amazing friends who were also texting me what happened. Okay, homework is this and this and this. This is what happened. Blah blah blah. Were helping me with everything that had to be done for school. This teacher helped me. Also called me okay, this is what you have to do. Blah 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 blah. And that was my final year when I did The Sound of Music. So I had to prepare for the exams. Yeah, and then I thought I'm never gonna make it, and I was like, let's see. But the fact that my school was so supportive, and of course from the beginning they always said to me, as long as your grades are okay, and as long as you're doing fine at school, and as we have a good overview of when you're there and not, and of course you have to be there for a certain amount of time. Yeah. Then it's fine. Then you can do what you do. But whenever, of course, it gets not so good and your grades are not good anymore or whatever, or we get the feeling that it's not good for you, then of course you have to quit. Mm-hmm. So that helped me okay, I have to do this. And also I didn't want to let them down, because I was like, you're supporting me so much right now. You're giving me these chances to go for the things that I want to do. And was like, the only thing I can do back is try to be as good as I can be at school.
That is amazing.
And I'm still in contact with that teacher. Still like text and like, how are you doing? And it's so amazing. And
that is incredible.
Yeah, that was a really, really crazy time. But also I had a really nice school time. I was never like I remember in exams I was learning for my exams during the night.
Yeah.
Until 5 a.m, and then I remember my mom saying, just stop. If you will not make it, it's fine. Then you do the year again. I was like, no, I have to do it now.
Oh, but that's a real cool move of your parents.
Yeah, my parents, they were like, they
know how to handle you.
Yeah, they were not that strict. I mean, they of course took very good care of me, but they were more like, okay, is it not that much? Are you okay? It's fine if you do this year again, and you can also, don't be too hard on yourself.
So they knew you. They knew you were an overachiever and
they saw that.
Very strict with yourself, obviously, as well.
Yeah, very strict. Yeah, and that helps you sometimes, but also it works against you in some ways. It's both of that. And then how do you say that? Passed my exam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You graduated.
Graduated, exactly. And then I was free. I loved it.
What to do with all your spare time now?
Then it's the question, like, I wanted maybe like to, of course, study and go to like an musical theater education, and I was already doing a weekend like education in Tilburg at the Fontes. And it was every Saturday, and I wanted to do the audition to go to the education of 4 years. But then also the musical Gease came, and I auditioned for Sandy, and I was like, let's see, it will not work out anyway. And then I got that. It was like, okay, am I gonna do that, or I'm gonna study? And I was like, you know what I do? I just gonna do this production. It's great and an amazing experience. And if afterwards nothing is there, I can again try to do audition and get into that school. But then from that moment on, I was lucky enough to do auditions for different kind of productions and
just work.
And just work. And that's the most beautiful thing about that, is that I learned so much and still do from the people around me. Like you already said, that has been in a way my education. And of course I still have like singing lessons, and I did some workshops and whatever, and so I worked on that, but not in the
common sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's make a little mind game here. What do you think are are the lessons that you have been taught then?
I think I learned the things, of course, while doing in Greece. I had to dance a lot, for example. But the fact that our choreographer was such an inspiration, the way he did it with so much love and so much passion, that I was like, oh wow, that's cool. So besides the fact that you learn what you have to do on stage, and you get like in contact with a certain style of the show, a dance style, you also get I also learned that it's lovely to dance, and that I don't have to be afraid or insecure, and that's also because of him, for example. And from the people who were around me who did have like an actual education in dancing, for example. So then you look around, you're like, oh, that's actually great what he's doing. I'm gonna ask this and this and this, or can you maybe stay with me for 20 minutes after rehearsal and try this out, things like that. And I had a really different but really nice singing teachers as well. And I think working with all these experienced people give you so much extra. It's also teaching you what it is to have this passion and what it means to them, and that's such an inspiration, and it's such a thing that I was like, oh, I want to feel that as well. it was, I've met many people that I was like, wow, that's great. He is great in this, or that's an amazing singer, or I want to learn this way of acting, or.
Did you approach them and ask them directly to be like, show me, I want to learn?
Yeah, I did.
Well, that's a great combination then.
Well, and also just watching people is learning, was teaching me a lot. Just looking at them, or also how they worked, how they worked together with a director or with a choreographer or whatever, people who were really experienced. Yeah, and also besides that, people who are in the business for such a long time, I also talked to a lot, and they took the time to talk. Definitely with Grease, we had like such a young cast, and there were like a few people who were in the business for a very long time, and they really took care of us, and also talked like about what do you want to do, where do you want to go, do you have some dream shows or dream jobs, whatever. And that also helps you like to find your way and create a certain path. And besides that, you have to go with the flow and see what comes your way, because you can of course have dreams and whatever, but you also need to
work on them
and do an audition every time, and things like that.
That's also like, the longer I'm in this I'm doing this job, I find it more valuable, like more and more, to sit down with colleagues and talk about the dreams we still have. Because after you have achieved a certain number of things where you're like, I mean, that's also a great question for you now. You've played Elphaba. What's next? Like we were having this conversation the other day where we were like, okay, so what do I still want to achieve? Because if that goes away, then you're just kind of, I like this, I would love to stay, but I don't know where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a weird feeling,
Yeah. A friend of mine, he also said to me, it's one of the biggest parts you can play in this business. I was like, yeah, that's true. And this is a precious one, and this will always stay with me, and it's probably the most amazing thing I will do because of this part and this experience. But on the other hand, there's so much more, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be that big or that challenging, or that there's a challenge in every part. Because I remember doing Kinky Boots, for example, was my first role that I was like, oh my god, I have to try to be funny at the moment. Never did, never had to. And it was such an amazing experience. And I was like, oh, this is great. I never played this character. I never played a role like this. And now I get in contact with that, and it makes me so happy, and it teaches me so many things. And I think that happens with every role or every part, or you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. I think there are so many amazing pieces in this business. It's I can just be like, okay, this show, it would be amazing, this show would be great, this I would like, it doesn't matter.
How did you get into dubbing?
Yeah, you're right.
Sorry. Okay, dubbing. How did you get into that? Because you're the voice of Encanto. Niederlanden. Niederlanden. Oh god, I saw it. It was like, no! I have to buy the DVD now because I have to listen to you. That is insane.
In the crazy Dutch language. Yeah. That also started at a very young age. I remember, I think it was during Joseph already, that they were searching for kids. And then you had to come in and do like this voice test. And I remember doing that, and I fell in love. I was like, this is such a fun thing. Looking at the screen, looking at this character, hearing the English or whatever language on your ears, and being like, okay, now I have to create my own little character with my voice, and I hope I can bring something nice to the table. You know what I mean? So then it started, and I got jobs like for different kind of things. It was Disney or Nickelodeon or whatever, and then I think I was 19 at the time. then I was allowed to do a voice test for Vajèn for the Disney one, and I fell in love with the music. I love Disney.
It's incredible. But Vajèn, I'm sorry. Whoa.
And I was like, wow, what is this? I remember being in the studio, and I was almost crying. I was like, again. And then the director said, just stop. Take a deep breath. It's fine. We sing it a few more times, and just wait and see. But I was like, this is my moment. This is my chance to give a voice, the Dutch voice, to this Disney princess. And I mean, she's not that princessy as maybe some, but she is a princess.
Yes.
And I was like, I really want this. Yeah, and then I got that call that I got, and I was just crying, because it was like, again, a thing that was on my list. It's not that I have like this list and I've like, okay, check, but you have some things in your mind that you want to do. Yeah. And this was one of them. And then Encanto came. It was during Wicked, and I was like, yeah, they will never say yes to me, because I already gave voice to Vajèn. Yeah. And that's not that long ago. And that voice test was pure hell. With the there's one song in it, Welcome to the Family, Marica, and that's so fast. That rhythm is so incredibly difficult. And I got to hear that song for the first time when I was there, because of course it's Disney, so you do not get it like
in advance.
Yeah, exactly. So I was there, and I was like, okay, let's do it and try. And I was working with the technician and our really great director, and we were both completely red. Like, try and do it again. Okay, this is the rhythm, and then okay, this. Okay, you got it. Yeah, I got it. Okay, and it was such. Oh, it was amazing to work on. But also, I was like, if I get this. It's not an easy job. It's not something that I'll be like, oh, it's beautiful. Let's sing. Yeah. And that was so fun to work on that as well, because I love the story. This definitely in Encanto, it's like, of course, a story about family, but also the reality of the fact that you do not always have this warm family around you, that you can be so different, that you can maybe not be such good friends with your sister or your brother, and that is fine. And that the story is just great, and the music is great. I mean, Lin-Manuel wrote it. I was like, yeah, what more to say? Yeah. So, and I still love it. I love to be in the studio and work on things. And I also did some audiobooks, and that's on your own. Yeah. Like in this little. You also did audiobooks?
No.
But you did dubbing.
Yeah.
It's great.
Not yet, but I really want to do audiobooks too. Yeah. Because I love books. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
so it's like
with yourself.
Yeah.
And you just read a book. You read a book and you just read it out loud, and try to do that as good as you can, and that's your job. I was
that's your job.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just read a book. Yeah. And most of the time it's also really nice books, and like beautiful. It's cool.
So you're really passionate about a lot of things.
Yeah, and I think that's why sometimes I'm like, oh, there are so many things that I still wanna do. But I'm also so grateful that I got experienced many things, many different things. And it's just cool to have these options, like, oh, and not options like because then I have options, but more like I love many more things than only
one.
Yeah, than only one. Yeah, and it makes my heart really full. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, I can imagine. Like most of the time, for me, you're like, you love what you do, and you shine through. Like this passion shines through you, and you're like, yes, let's do this.
And you're the one saying that. Martina, I love it.
Yeah, well, but if there are times like when it's not like that, and if you have an audience who is sitting in the gutter and who is like, okay, I've been doing this job 8 shows a week for 5 months now, and I'm so bored, and blah. And do you ever have motivation, like not have the means to motivate yourself, or get depressed, or get down. And what do you do then? What would you tell people who are in that situation?
Yeah.
Or have you had experiences?
I think I did not really experience the thing of, oh, I'm bored or I don't want to do this anymore. Luckily, also maybe because I did not do, for example, I did not do like a show for 3 or 4 years, you know what I mean? So that's also, I can imagine if you're in the show for so many years, that of course there are days that you think, ooh, how am I going to do it today? But I got many, many moments, and definitely in this show in Wicked, that I started to doubt myself a lot. Like, am I, all of a sudden, because, and the funny thing is, you think like that you start to doubt yourself when the project starts. No, you start to doubt yourself when you did it for months already. And
why? How does that happen?
Yeah, and it's and I talk to friends and colleagues, and they all say like, yeah, it also happened to me in this production or with this part, or, and for example, I was so happy when I heard that. I was like, oh great, I'm not the only one. Because you also start to feel like, am I the only one? I feel so alone. No, you're never the only one. And I think it's good that we talk about it instead of only making it look like, even though people do not do that on purpose, of course, that it's so easy. Because we all have our moments that we're like, am I good enough?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, exactly. We all had that. And definitely in this show, because the challenge, it's such a challenge, and when you're doing a show every night for months, I think that you expect a bit more from yourself maybe after these months, because you get into a certain routine. And I had really moments here I was like, can I do it? I cannot do it. Then I got really, really sad, and also felt guilt. I mean, you guys know that I said I feel so guilty if I have to listen to my body and say I cannot do it tonight. And that's a thing that I never had to do in the past. I never called in sick because it never happened to me that I got sick. But also, I think I never really listened to myself and pushed through. You know what I mean? Be like, okay, I can do this show. It's the last of the week. I can do it. And of course, there will always be a moment when your body is telling you, you did this for years. Now you have to listen to yourself. So in this, and definitely with this show, I mean, we all know it's a hard show. Not only the Elphaba or Glinda part or whatever part, it is a hard show for everybody. And we had a tough time here because we started in Corona. After the whole, a year, 1.5 years being at
completely
home.
Out. Yeah,
that's the
no
weirdest
training,
thing.
no
exactly. So that was it's also the timing, but also the fact that I think that I start to, that this is the moment in my life that I have to learn that it's also important to listen to my body or to what I feel, and that it's that I am still enough when I cannot do it, instead of saying to yourself, if you cannot do it, you're nothing, and you're gonna let everybody down, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, if my best friend would come to me and be like, or another colleague of mine would say, I'm sick today, I would never be like, you're sick. No, you're sick. It's fine. And I was like, why can I not say that to myself? You know, that it's fine.
A learning process.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that really started for me in this production. And so I had many moments that I was like, oh.
I think I really also want to put this out there. There are so many things that you cannot anticipate when you do a show for such a long time. Like, for example, the last weeks, there has been a lot of pollution in the air. So people came in here, me included, and you start singing and you're like, well, I slept enough, I ate enough, I took care of myself. And the voice goes, ah!
Yeah.
And you're like, what is happening? And then you have two options. You go like, it is the way it is. You make the best of it. You take good care of yourself. If it's not working, you shut up. You go home. You take even more care of yourself, or you cannot push through everything, because there is actually a lot on top of just singing a show.
And there's also the mental part.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
and it is a very vulnerable thing to, of course, as a cast, to go on stage every night and show your heart and give your heart to people in the audience, because I think that's what you do every night, and that's the most beautiful thing, but also a very vulnerable thing. I remember, for example, you texting me like once, like take good care of yourself. You only have one voice. I was like, yeah, of course, that's also true. You only have one voice. Don't mess with it. Don't take it for granted, or be like, it's your instrument and you should take good care of.
Totally.
Like you just said.
And I think it's really, I just got the most brilliant picture of what you just said, with them putting yourself out there and sharing what you love with a whole bunch of strangers. Do you know how much courage it takes to walk up to somebody you don't know and say, I think I'm in love with you? Or to say something that you really care about, like, I think you're the most beautiful woman, or you're so pretty, or something like that.
Exactly.
You don't just tell people, but we do. We do
yeah.
every day, with everything we have, with our imperfect bodies, with our cracky voices and everything we have, but we still go out there and we still share the love, because we love the story, because we love what we do. And that is quite a thing.
And also, people in the audience, of course, they will have their opinion, if they like it, if they don't like it, and they are allowed to do that, because they bought a ticket to come and see the show. And whatever you think of it, it's you are allowed to have these thoughts. So it takes a lot of courage. I think so too.
So you got through these periods of doubting, and also with the support of your family and friends, I can imagine.
But also the support of you as a cast. And I think that we are doing such a good job. We have such a good cast. Everybody's so nice to each other.
Cast. Yeah.
So it's just whenever somebody's like, in the group chat, guys, I'm sick because of this. It's fine, and we all are like, it's fine, get well soon. It's great. We missed you. Blah blah blah.
Do you need something?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the best that you can do as a cast. Accept it, support each other, and it will be all fine.
What's your takeaway from this Wicked experience so far? Like, what were the highlights and the low points and the, I did not see that coming?
The fact that I got the part is definitely, I did not see that. I did not.
Did you apply for Glinda and Elphaba?
Nee, love. Nee, because they called me and said, do you want to come for Elphaba? And I was like, Elphaba? I'm not that type. But on the other hand, I don't have the voice to sing Glinda. I cannot do that. So I was like, okay. But I also was not that sure if I could sing Elphaba, because I was like, because it was never on my list. I never thought of this show as an option.
Okay.
Because I thought, I cannot be Glinda, and I don't think I'm the type for Elphaba. Done. And then they said it's a new version, and we just inviting people and see what's possible. And then I was like, oh my god, that's actually interesting. And I started to fall in love with who this green girl is, because what I find so beautiful is that when people think of, maybe some people think of Elphaba as like, oh yeah, it's that maybe heart, some kind of personality who is in a way, who is not caring that much about what people think of her, but inside
she is caring so much.
I just, I really fell in love with that character. And I remember that Ralph said to me, the casting director, he was like, you gotta prove you were going to do that role. And I was standing had to cry. And the funny thing was, that weekend we were in Hamburg for the auditions, and my family was with me because we said it's Corona, go to Hamburg and have a nice weekend, maybe, go out for dinner. And then I got that. Then I got that news from Ralph, and then I went to my family, and they were like holding me. And my mom was like, "Is it really true?" Because she saw that I was so emotional.
Oh my God.
And they didn't expect it either, I guess. Yeah. So that was, first of all, the fact that I got this part is definitely a thing that I never expected. And I think to create this version with this cast at this time in our lives, after this whole COVID period, also during the whole COVID period, these things combined, I think we will not experience this ever again like this. Mm-hmm. Also because of the group of people, and also because of this show. It's not only the songs, and not only it's the whole story. Mm. And I fell in love with Wicked even more than I did because of our version, because I love it so much. Mm-hmm. And I have the feeling that we have a group of people who are going on that stage every night and giving the audience their hearts. That's what I really feel. Mm-hmm. Also, when I look around me, sometimes when I'm standing in the wing and I'm looking at you guys in Oskotek or whatever, I don't care. I just said to the other day to Dejan, one of our colleagues, has said, I just get emotional. Knowing that it's not that long anymore that we get to tell the story, and that we get to be in this house. Mm-hmm. Also this theater. I think it's a beautiful theater, filled with really amazing people in every department.
Yes. Oh yes.
So I think this is the most one of, if not the most amazing thing I've done. And I really mean that, because of everything, because of the people, because of the show, because of the timing also. It teached me a lot, and I'm gonna miss that green on my face. I'm sure. In the beginning I was like, ooh, will there be a moment that I will hate it? Sometimes when I'm in the shower and I don't get the green paint out of my ears, I'm like, ah! But when this is over, I'll think back and I'll be like, oh, yeah. This was a very beautiful adventure. A one of a kind.
Yeah. 4 questions to end with. What's your favorite place in a theater?
I think my favorite place in a theater is standing backstage and about to go on stage. And I like it even more when I see my colleagues already on that stage, and I'm like, I'm about to join. Yeah.
You really are an exceptional person, aren't you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I would not say... when I'm there on stage, I love it. But the magical feeling, the when my heart is like pumping in my chest, is that moment when I'm about to go on stage. Yeah.
Cool. What's your favorite sound in a theater?
It's such a shame that our orchestra is not where they should be.
Yeah, where they should be.
They are in the basement in this theater, unfortunately. But what I love the most is when the show didn't start and you hear all the instruments.
Tuning.
And exactly, people getting ready. They're getting ready to play this show. And that's also one of the most amazing things when you're in the audience. I love that. I'm like... I want to listen to this for another 5 minutes before the show starts. Yeah.
I think that's really a part not to be underestimated. It's what makes it kind of real. Yes. Because if it starts perfectly and everything in tune, it also could be playback. But if you hear them, it's like people are getting ready, and it's like this gray area between the brilliant show and the real life. It's like the kind of no man's land in between.
Exactly.
I really get it.
You're right. I love it.
If you had a free wish, what would be your dream role? your...
That's such a hard thing, huh? My dream role. Funny thing, the roles I got until now, I think, except for Eponine in Les Mis, they were not on my list.
None of them?
No.
Wow.
Because I never thought like that I either would fit or would be good enough. Yeah. Yeah, maybe Sandy in Greece was on my list. Sandy in Greece I really wanted to do, but all the other things I've done I was like, huh? I remember On Your Feet in Holland I was like, and I got that, and Paramour here, not on my list.
But what kind of type do you think you are?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and maybe that's also a good thing. For example, I thought when I auditioned for Mamma Mia for Sophie, I was like, that would fit me. And then I didn't get that, and I was very sad.
Oh, no!
And then I was like, maybe I should not have things on my list, you know what I mean? Because the things I think I can do, I do not get.
Okay.
I mean, for Les Mis I got in the end, so that's I'm very happy. Okay, a dream role. I would like to do a Disney show again, because I only did that when I was a child and once a week, so that's not official. Maybe like you did her, Jane in Tarzan.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I could see that.
Great. You played her. Amazing. That would be really a thing I would love to do, but also maybe more the something really, really small, more like I did quite big shows, like with everything there, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe something more where the art is in the simplicity.
Ooh,
I'm just thinking about something. I love Hadestown. Eurydice. That
yes.
That would I love that music, and also the Bühnenbild, the vibe, the music.
It is so simple. I cannot believe that they didn't bring it yet. It would
weird.
fit in every small theater here as well.
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't see that show yet, but that would be,
yes.
That would be a thing, yeah.
Good answer. And last answer, what's your motto?
I got this quote, and really fits to my time here. In Dutch, it's like, ik moet gewoon iets minder nadenken, dacht ik bij mezelf. Which is, I just do not need to think that much. I was thinking.
Oh, that is beautiful.
And I was like, that fits so well. Like the person who wrote this, I follow on Instagram, and he's writing beautiful poems, small and bigger. And he he posted that one, and then he asked me, do you want to look, maybe if you would like to have some kind of printed ones? I was like, yeah. And then I saw that quote, I was like,
that's it.
I need that.
Oh.
And now I have that in my apartment.
That is beautiful.
And I think it fits like not only for our jobs, but in every job, and also in your private life. Ja.
Das, meine Damen und Herren, war das Gespräch mit unserer Leading Lady Nummer 1. Gast Nummer 2 habe ich ja bereits verraten, aber wer ist nun Gast Nummer 3? Natürlich! Freut euch auf ein lustiges, inspirierendes und vor Tatendrang nur so strotzendes Gespräch mit Leading Lady Nummer 2, unserer Glinda, Janine Backer. Und bis dahin, bleibt gesund, genießt die Sonne und wir hören uns. Also, bis bald!